You're listening to The Head Trash Show with me, Alexia Leachman, author of Clear Your Head Trash. Head Trash is the home to the Head Trash Clearance Method, which you can use to get rid of the fears, stresses and anxieties in your life. Every week I'll be sharing insights, stories and interviews to inspire you to clear your head trash so that you can find calmness, confidence and clarity in your life and work. To find out more about clearing head trash and creating a headspace, head over to clearyourheadtrash.com. And now for today's show. Hello and welcome back to the Head Trash Show. This is your host, Alexia Leachman. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, on today's show, we're going to be chatting to Louise. Now, Louise is a mindfulness and meditation teacher, and she's also somebody who's been using the Head Trash Clearance Method loads because we work together. And so during our conversation, we're going to be comparing mindfulness meditation and using the Head Trash Clearance Method to help you to reduce this stress and the anxiety in your life, and basically to help you to get an understanding of how you can use these two techniques, these ways of working with the mind together, and what they can bring you, because there are subtle differences between these ways of working. And I think it's really good to sort of have an understanding of that so you can decide what is going to be right for you. So some of the things we talk about during this conversation are being an introvert and how going to networking events can be a real challenge for people who are introverts, but also confidence and what is it that actually undermines your confidence and saps your confidence. But we also talk about people pleasing and why, when we're worried about judgment, we're worried about what other people think, that can really lead to us people pleasing, and how Louise stopped being the people pleaser that she was before. But we also talk about how by doing all of that kind of work, you can release the authentic you, the real you that's hiding under all of that stuff. When you do strip away all that head trash, the real you can step forward. And so Louise shares her own experience of becoming more authentic, becoming more herself, with less of the people-pleasing stuff, less of the stuff, the introvert stuff that she thought she was before, and how this has really helped her to really up-level her business. So it's a really good conversation where we go all over the place, but there's something here for everybody. If confidence, being an introvert, going out networking, being more authentic, if any of those things resonate with you, then this is a conversation for you to listen to. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, Louise, and welcome to the Head Trash Show. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
This is fabulous. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Now, Louise, you are a mindfulness and meditation teacher. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah.
Absolutely. So just tell us a little bit more about that. How long have you been doing it? Why did you get into it? Why do you do the work that you do?
Well, I set up my business last year, but I've been practicing mindfulness and meditation for probably on and off about 10 years. Like a lot of people, I started doing it and then I was like, I feel better, that's fine, I don't need to do it again. And then gradually learned that actually the key was to keep doing it. And managing some sort of stressful things a couple of years ago in my life, and was just doing it more and more regularly, and things started to change for me, started to feel a lot happier, a lot more settled, and just things were working out better for me. So took a bit of a leap of faith, trained to be a meditation teacher, but I can interchangeably do mindfulness and meditation, and that really led me to setting up my business last year. So exciting times.
Fabulous. Now, just before we do move on, I would love to hear from you really how you differentiate between mindfulness and meditation, because when I hear those terms, in my mind they're a little bit interchangeable, but I just want to know, have I got that wrong, and is there a difference?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question, and I always give it my best shot as to what my understanding is of the difference and what makes sense to me, so hopefully makes sense to other people. And that is that with meditation, you are taking that decisive action to sit in practice and to do a type of meditation. So you are going to take that time out of your day to do something which makes you relax, and taking any type of meditation, and there are lots of them available. And then mindfulness is really, you can do that anywhere. So you can do it on the bus, you can do it while you're driving, you can do it while you're eating. There's so many different ways, and that is more about being aware of the present moment and what is going on in this present moment. So just bringing your awareness to that. that's how I tend to see it. So there's one where there's a purposefulness around a practice, and maybe that more traditional way of sitting, doing a meditation, and then mindfulness where you're just literally being aware of what's happening. I hope that helps.
No, that really does help. So your mindfulness is almost like being present. It's just not imagining, not worrying about what happened yesterday, not worrying about what's happening in the future.
Yeah.
And just focusing on the person that you're with, the task that you're on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In my experience, I kind of think that meditation leads to mindfulness. Is that a fair comment? Like the more you meditate.
It does. And actually, if you do some reading, so there's a Vietnamese, very famous Vietnamese monk, and I sometimes mispronounce his name, so I apologise, but Thich Nhat Hanh.
I think I know the one. I've seen his quotes all over Facebook.
Probably have heard of him. He talks about this. Basically, it is that the mindfulness is the energy that you become when you meditate, and so that's another way of helping to explain it. So the art of meditating brings you into that mindfulness state, and that also helps me as well, I think, when I'm explaining it.
And I think also mindfulness, it's almost like it could be thought of as a destination. Like you could aim to be somebody that acts more mindfully day to day, that can be more present in your day to day life.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And meditation can help you get there, but there are other ways to get to mindfulness other than meditation. Is that a fair comment?
Exactly. Yeah, it is, absolutely. Yeah, okay. That makes perfect sense.
Okay, no, good. I'm glad I got that sorted, because I was having a debate with somebody the other day about mindfulness and meditation, and I was like, I really wanted to get that clear. So that has totally helped me, and I'm sure people listening are going to get a lot from that as well. Now, one of the reasons we're having a chat is because when I launched the Head Trash book, which is called Clear Your Head Trash, you were one of the first people to get hold of a copy, and then you got in touch with me to do some work together on the back of reading the book. Yeah. So I loved working with you, Louise. It was absolutely brilliant. And so I wondered if you would be sharing a little bit of your experience of using the head trash clearance method and some of the work we did, so that we can then have a really interesting, juicy conversation afterwards about how that compares with mindfulness and meditation, so that those people listening can kind of understand how these practices can fit together and how to use them.
Yeah, so I mean, we had fun in our sessions. That was, that's the main thing. It was really, really good fun for me, and that's always a bonus when you're embarking on something like this. So I found the book, I think, in the group. I think someone had posted something, you posted something else to say, oh, maybe have a look at this book. And I thought, well, I'll have a look at this book, and download it. So I had a read through it. Must admit, I had a flick through and was like, okay, what is this technique? How does it work? And it promises to deliver so much. So how is that possible? So I had a bit of a go myself, but wasn't entirely sure how to do it. But I really only had a very quick through the book. But I thought, God, this is really fascinating. And in terms of how quick it said you could change things, I was really interested in that. And thought, right, okay. So I had a quick look at what you'd got up on your website, and then I thought, well, you know what, I really feel drawn to this. I feel like I need to know more about it. And that's when I kind of got in touch with you for a session. I thought, well, I really want to know a bit more about how it works. So we had our first session together.
Yeah, because soon afterwards, I wanted to know, because I think you, from your perspective, you were dabbling and you're thinking, well, I'll just give it a taste, see what happens. And pretty quickly you got in touch with me afterwards going, this is definitely working. I want to get some more of this. Is that? Yeah,
I think I was amazed at how quick things changed, and we packed a lot into that first session. The method is it's about clearing. So when I talk about clearing, it's about clearing just that stuff. And head trash is a perfect explanation of it. It's all of those things that you carry around, and maybe you've been carrying around for years, that you just gone. You turn around and they're not there anymore, and that feels a bit strange actually to start with, because you're so used to having them around. So the quickness with that the technique worked was something I was just really amazed by, and just the actual technique, and then the fact that you could then do it for yourself. I just thought, right, okay, this is something I can use just forever now.
Yeah. So then we did some more, and then so the main thing, are you happy sharing what you know when you signed up some more sessions? Are you happy talking about what main thing you wanted help with? Like there were some key themes that you really wanted to get sorted.
Absolutely. I was really looking for some confidence building, to be honest, particularly in relation to my business. So I come from a very corporate background, gone into a completely different area of work. I know what I'm doing in terms of what I'm delivering. I'm passionate about that. It's all the thing that goes around that, all the business side of things, and networking, putting yourself out there, and particularly some things that I always worried about was just I'm going to look really stupid, I'm just going to look really silly, I'm going to say something stupid, I'm going to say something silly. So something that we worked on quite early on I was just so sometimes I can be really serious. So I can be quite a serious person, although I have got a fun side to me, but I think I got so caught up in running a business and how serious that was and how serious I thought I needed to be. So we worked on that, and I like to share after the sessions with Alexia what I'd done after them. So I sort of shared with her. I was like, right, okay, I don't feel like I can't be silly anymore. So I've signed up for a hula hoop class. And it was amazing, and it was really good fun. I really enjoyed myself, and I just sort of let myself go. And it's not that I wouldn't have done that before, but it was almost like, right, you've got permission to do this now, just go for it. And there were some of the things that I shared that I was like, I've got permission to be silly now.
I couldn't believe it when I got that email that you were telling me hula hooping class. I didn't even know you could do hula hooping classes. It represents so brilliantly the fact that you're up for being silly now, and you don't care. Not that you don't care, but you're just fine with it, and actually being playful, being childish, letting that side of you come forward is absolutely fine, and it's joyful. And that kind of that's such a great sign that you've sorted that in yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And it made such a difference. I think it made a difference in my business as well, because I was trying to be so serious in my business that maybe I was coming across as someone that was needs to lighten up a little bit, basically. And then you get that, you get that engagement, you get people being playful with you, having a laugh and a joke, and it's just so much easier then to do things. So I was really grateful for that in my business as well. So it's on a personal level, but on a business level too.
So one of the ones we talked about as well was the networking side as well. Because the reason that you didn't want to go networking was the sounding serious, the whole silly thing. So tell us what happened. So you were avoiding networking events, I seem to recall, at the beginning when we worked together.
Yeah, definitely. So part of, and I suppose part of it is the nature of what I do, but I'm quite a quiet person. I can be a bit of an introvert. So going to networking events I can find a bit difficult. I find just going into a room full of strangers and having to talk about yourself, but actually clearing the silliness and some other things that we worked on as well. I didn't mind it. I was like going to events and just thinking, oh, this is fine, I'll kind of be myself. And I think that is one of the biggest outcomes of working with Head Trash for me, is that you be yourself and you start to be that person that that you are, and also it makes you, I think, authentic, so other people know that that's the real you. That's a really nice thing as well to come back to it's about being yourself. So if people don't always get your thing, you don't mind about it anymore. You're not worried about it. You're not there's that lightness about being in situations that you may find uncomfortable before. So it's a big relief.
You did email me and tell me about a networking event that you'd organise. Didn't you?
Yeah.
No, I know. So just for the listeners, so Louise, who didn't want to go to a networking event, now suddenly emails me going, I don't know what's happened, but I've organised a networking event and I've got 50 people signed up to come.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
Strangest thing. So as Alexia says, someone who was really had to build up to going to a networking event. I was almost just, I'm going to say guided, whatever that means to everyone else, but I'm going to say guided, to set up my own networking event. And so when you're having a dialogue with yourself and you're going, really want me to do this, but it was like, yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this, it's fine. And actually the outcome is it's about 100 odd people are interested. It's quite a small venue, so that was a bit daunting. But actually I feel comfortable doing that, and these are some of the, for me, are big changes that I feel like I can take more, I'm going to say risks, but things where I was certainly before doing the head trash just wouldn't have even crossed my mind, to be honest. So there's something about, again, it's bringing out the real me. It's allowing me to do things that I know I'm capable of, but there would have been those thoughts, those worries, those beliefs that I've had all that time that would just have stopped me doing those things. So it's almost like a big release of things that I can now do in such a short space of time.
Yeah, because we worked, what was it, over a month?
Yeah. But I mean, the results were I'm going to say instant. So I know because we worked on so much, wasn't it, over that time?
Yeah. No, wonderful. So it's really interesting. So I think it's really interesting for other people to hear that, because I bang on and on about the head trash method all the time, and I would do because I'm kind of telling everybody about it. So I think it's really interesting for people to hear somebody else talk about it. But what I find really interesting was, because of your work as a mindfulness and meditation teacher, was to really, you've got that experience of having done a very powerful practice already, and how maybe now you can kind of see how what the difference is, what they bring to you and how they can help you. So what would you say, one of the things I say in the book is that I think meditation is a really, really great tool for finding calmness, stillness, that space inside to process things, to connect to your intuition, and to really regroup and reground. Whereas what I wouldn't do is recommend people go to meditation for stress relief or anxiety reduction, because I think there are quicker ways of doing that, and the head trash method is one of them. And I realise, in saying that in my book, I could be opening a can of worms and offending the whole meditation and mindfulness community. But what's your view on that?
Yeah, and I know we started to have a really good conversation about this before the lecture, so I'm happy to pick that up, because I think that if you, in certain ways, meditation and mindfulness does help to reduce stress and anxiety, but everyone is different. Everyone is so different. It can depend on how that's come about, how long you've had it, what were the triggers. There's so many different things that make that up for a person, and one of the things with mindfulness and meditation is that everyone does know that it's not an instant thing, it's not an overnight thing. You can't do it once and it will start to make you feel better. It may start to alleviate some of those symptoms. It isn't going to make something go away overnight, and I think certainly depending on the level of your stress and your anxiety, it could take months, it could take years for it to have an effect on those things. And I guess the reality is, which is what we talked about, is that those underlying beliefs are still going to be there. So whatever you're doing, it's maintaining a level, but there's that stuff that we all know that we have, that's bubbling beneath the surface, and anything could maybe at any time trigger that off. I had a lady come to my class the other week, and she'd been doing mindfulness for 3 years, and yes, it helped her massively, and it improved a lot of things for her in terms of her health, but she hadn't stopped doing it. She was still doing it, and she knew she needed to do it to maintain this level. So I think that's the interesting thing, the difference where head trash is something that is going to get rid of all of those things that trigger stress and anxiety. And that's what I noticed, that some of those negative thoughts and beliefs are just gone. So why would it then cause that stress and anxiety? But you need to unpick that, don't you, as you know.
And I think the value of having a mindfulness practice and the meditation practice is giving you that space to kind of process and allow some of those stresses and anxieties, just give them a little bit of freedom to kind of do their thing and then settle. And so allowing them to do that is really valuable.
Exactly.
But then if you haven't got them, if you've cleared a lot of that, then when you do go to that practice, you can go a lot deeper with your practice, and you're not giving the space for the anxieties and I'm imagining them like little birds flitting around a room, and then so you haven't got this space with loads of birds flying around crazy waiting for them to settle down, or kids in a nursery waiting for them to calm down with whatever. You can then go into that space and really get grounded, really tap into your intuition, really tap into maybe some of the deeper, more powerful aspects of meditation that maybe you wouldn't access it while all that stress and anxiety is going on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, absolutely. I'd agree with that. Because sometimes, and I've done this myself in the past, you come from a place of so much stress where those things are so overwhelming that actually you find it very difficult to get into that space. So if you're releasing some of those, getting rid of some of them, gradually you can start to realise exactly what is going on, and then get into that space a lot easier. And the other thing is, I think as well, is it starts to bring up those things. So now I notice if I've maybe been meditating, then it'll be like, okay, it's almost like, right, add this to your head trash list. This is something that you need to work on. There's something that's come up. So it's another way that you can use mindfulness meditation to identify the things that you need to work on, because maybe they're a bit of a, they're a layer down. Yeah. So that's the other way, I think, as you got into it, you can use it as well.
And I think the two work really, really well together. And for me, and I've noticed that as a result of doing so much head trash clearance, I am much more mindful in day-to-day living, because I've reached... because I've lost those worries of the past and the worries of the future. It means that that's the head trash, the stuff that's stopping you from being present. Once you've cleared it, you can therefore be present, which means you can be more productive with your tasks. You can be present with the people that you're with. You can stay focused on things and not procrastinate like maybe you used to, because it's all the stresses and anxieties that make you procrastinate. Absolutely. It's the fear-based stuff that may be stopping you from taking action. And so the head trash clearance bit and really strengthens your ability to be mindful, and therefore makes you a better meditator, if that's such a thing. And so they work really well together, I
definitely.
think. And identifying the next thing to work on as well. I like what you said, that like some of the emails that you said to me, it's like, oh, this came up today and I know I'm just going to add it to the list. And the more you clear your stuff, the more you recognise when there is a trigger happening and something that's taking you off from that calm place, that mindful place, and what's stirring the pot. And you go, oh, hang on a minute, this is affecting me. I need to add that to the list and work on it. And so your self-awareness increases as a result of doing this practice. What do you think?
Definitely, yeah. Because I think, and I think as you clear more and more, either there's maybe not so much on your list at the minute. Or there's just less stuff, isn't there? So it's a bit easier, because at the start it's almost like you're in a crowded room and you're like, well, either there's so much of this stuff, right? What do I work on? And then suddenly you've got a shorter list, which is a lot nicer. So you think, oh, well, I've got these, and then you can kind of just nice and calmly add something onto the list rather than trying to work with all of those. So that's the thing. And also it's quite fun. I'm finding it quite fun to just go, oh, right, okay, well, that's going on the list, and I might just clear that one out. I might just do it, and then it's gone. And just that feeling, it's a feeling of empowerment, actually, to be able to go, well, I'm not going to have that in 5 minutes time, so that's fine. It's a very powerful thing.
It is I know, and it does kind of, knowing that you can just bat things away relatively easily, and it might just take you 5-10 minutes depending on how long you need to do it, and you just need to find a quiet spot. I mean, for those people that don't follow my work in birth, I've got my podcast, the Fear-Free Childbirth podcast. I use this technique in between contractions to clear fears that come up. So I had a 3-minute window, and I cleared stuff while I was busy birthing. Wow. And so this is how quick you can do this kind of clearance work. And when you're used to doing the technique and it's really familiar to you, you can do it, while you're in labour if you need to. So that's a really powerful tool to have in your toolbox.
Absolutely, Yeah, because I think the thing is that as much as there's the things that have been there a long time, sometimes you don't know they're there until a new situation comes along, and then you suddenly think, oh, but you need to do it now, like you say, like something like childbirth. You want it to go away now. You can't wait. You haven't got 6 months to work on it. You need to you wanted to go straight away. And that's so having that almost control over that in a way that gives you the confidence straight away to go, well, I know it's okay, I'm going to deal with that, it's fine.
So would you say your confidence has improved then as a result of doing
yeah,
this
definitely. So I think it almost, I think I talked about it at the beginning, but a lot of it is you don't realise when you've got those beliefs and things that are maybe your triggers, that you don't realise that they've kind of made you up into the person that you are, and as you start to get rid of those, you start to go back to maybe someone that you remember being. So I remember being confident in this situation. I remember being really productive and being able to do things because I knew things were going to be all right. So it's just situations and things that have got in the way and given you those beliefs. So you're starting to rediscover the best bits about yourself, and those bits that you remember making you up, and then I think that's where it comes back to that being, you become authentic because you're not worrying so much about those things.
Yeah, I think my other half, he said to me, goes, you've become more you.
Yeah.
Which sounds really interesting as a way to put it, because it's like at the moment, loads of us with lots of head trash are kind of diluted. We've got all this head trash in the way, and it's imagine there's a picture of somebody, and then in front of it there's all this fuzzy nonsense stuff. You can't see the person, and then you start clearing it one by one. You can just see more of the person step forward.
Yeah,
and it's undiluted in that. And the thing that makes you awesome, your talents, your strengths, your funniness, whatever it is that is you as a person. It just comes to the fore, which means as a business owner for you, it means you can inject more of you into your business, and therefore stand out more and have a unique point of difference versus other people that are all trying to fit in with this mold because of the fears, the shoulds, I should appear like this, I should appear serious because no one's going to take me seriously. I can't be silly because then they will think this. Whereas now you're like, well, I'm going to be silly because it's me and I don't care what they think. And if they don't like me, they'll go and find somebody else. And these are all really powerful ideas that can support us in whatever work we're in, can't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I really like, like you said, it's you're coming back to you. It's like almost being a different person, incorporating all of that into your business, which was my main objective. But actually, how I benefited personally is really, for me, feels a dramatic change. As like you say, other people notice, don't they? Which has got to be something where it's made a big difference.
And have you noticed anything in your, like, the actual one-to-one relationships, like because of the lesser worries that are going on about what other people think, or being able to maybe be more mindful, are you noticing maybe some deeper connections with people, or ability to maybe to form a new connection? Has that changed in any way for you?
Yeah, I think because I'm not worrying about that judgment, you especially when you're going into new things where you're putting yourself out there and saying, well, this is what I do, and I'm good at this. It's a daunting thing, but actually, when you've got rid of a lot of those things that you were worried about, when you're not worrying about what other people are thinking about you, actually, yes, you do then have those better connections, because actually, instead of all of those things going on in your head, you're listening to that other person and you're engaging with that person and getting to the bottom of what you're there to do, which is to help that person or support that person through a journey. So yeah, that's where it's going to really help with those connections in business and personally, I think. And
there's a flip side to that, I think, that we talked about already before, where if you don't feel that instant connection, because when you meet somebody, you kind of have a sense, don't you, whether you're going to get on in the first 5 minutes, really. Yeah. And sometimes you go, I'm never going to get on. We could spend all day with each other, go through whatever difficult situations, and we're never going to bond, because there isn't a natural connection, however you want to describe that, energetic connection, vibe, whatever it is, it's not there. And what I've noticed in myself is that if I don't spot that vibe pretty quickly, then I just give up on doing anything with it. I think there's no point wasting time here, and I just move on. And you're nodding. Is this what you're noticing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And in the past, I would have worried about that. I would have gone, spend the rest of the day or something thinking, oh, why did that person maybe not engage with me? Maybe they don't think I'm good at what I do. You know, all of those things that play over and over in your mind. But actually, you don't. Now, I'll just accept. It's an acceptance, isn't it? And that is a weight off your mind, really. It's an acceptance that you're going to get on with some people. You're not going to get on with some other people. With other people, and that's fine, and that's absolutely fine. And the right people will be drawn to you, and it all works out fine. And I think something you said is you're almost not putting so much energy, and that almost feels like the physical energy as well sometimes, because you know when you try so hard to do something, well, I'll try and make this person engage with me. It's exhausting. It can actually be really tiring. So what you're then doing is you're saving all that energy for working with those people who are the right people to work with, the right people to connect with, and that's time saving, and feels such a better way of working and a better way of being with people, I think.
And some people struggle with that in me, I think, if I don't look like I'm making the effort with somebody, there is no judgment there. I've just accepted that there's never going to be anything there, and I'll just save my energy for those where there is going to be a connection, where we can bring something to the party, both of us, and feed off each other's energy, and all that. That's much more enriching as an engagement, as a relationship, as a connection, whether it's a personal one or a business one, and to be okay, that one's not going to work, move on, and just be drawn to those that you do really genuinely connect with, and that just feels, you just don't waste as much time and energy.
And I think being okay with that's the big difference, isn't it? And we talked about a lot of the time at It's not that we don't care, so it's not that you're not a caring person, it's not that you don't care about individuals, there's just something there that who you can connect with, like you say, and they're going to feel the same if they want, if they're honest about it, aren't they?
So it really helps with all the whole people-pleasing nonsense.
Absolutely.
That a lot of people waste valuable time, effort, energy, headspace on.
Absolutely.
Which I think is a big thing for a lot of people,
Yeah, definitely.
Just what I'd love to have a little bit of a snippet of before we go is, now you say you're adding things to your list. So how often do you think, for those people, like we worked intensely for a month, so in that month you were clearing stuff, I was clearing stuff, it was a team effort. And so that sort of really got you onto a good path. And so since then, how often are you dabbling with clearing? Like, how is it a weekly thing? What, for other people to get their head around?
So I think I've almost set myself a target to clear 3 things a week. And that, I'm not, but 3 things might not necessarily come up every week, but I think it's just to keep that. There's almost a discipline there, isn't there, to say, right, I'm going to commit to doing this. And why wouldn't you when you get the results that you do? So I guess every other couple of days, I'm thinking, right, okay, shall I do something today? And just slotting it into what I'm doing, because it really literally takes 5. If you only do one, it takes less than 5 minutes, really, isn't it? I guess as over time, that's going to become less, isn't it? And I might end up doing 1 a week, depending on what comes up. But there are also, as we've talked about, some things where there's a situation that's obviously triggered something, and I've thought, no, I want that to be gone before I go to this thing, or before I do this thing. So there's a bit of a combination of things that are on my list that I know I need to work on, and other things that come up straight away that I feel I need to do there and then.
And just going back to your comment about it's going to reduce over time, that's a really lovely idea. But as somebody who's been doing this for a number of years now, it does. And you go through periods of like not really doing anything, and then you go deeper with your work, or because you're being more fearless and stepping forward more, you hit new stuff and you're pushing yourself more. So you keep hitting the deeper beliefs that maybe, and so you move forward in the work.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can sort of say, there's a finite amount of trash, and at some point I'm going to get to the bottom of it, because life goes on. You have new experiences, you have new situations, and also you have stuff that you've never experienced before that's hit a wall that you didn't know you had. but obviously only if you're putting yourself in those new situations. So yeah, you can go times where you feel like, yeah, I'm all good. And then suddenly, bam, you hit something new.
Yeah. And that's a really good point. Yeah. And it's a good thing to accept, that you're always going to be working on it. I think that's a really good thing. And you've made a really good point, I think, which is about when you start to push yourself, which I feel like I'm now doing things that I wouldn't have done, then new stuff comes up because you're putting yourself in completely different situations. Like where did that come from? But it's something else to deal with.
But that's fine because you've got the tools, so now you can just kind of deal with it. And so I think the challenge I have now as somebody who's been doing it a long time is having someone else. It's sometimes can be hard to unpick your own stuff.
Yeah.
So having somebody else there to go, you've got this and this going on, and you go, oh, okay, and that can really help. And I think one thing that you said with the work is really, when we started working together, I created a big long list of stuff that I'd said that you needed to work on based on the intake, the form that you filled in before we started working together. So we had a nice long list to work on, and without that, like I sometimes would like somebody to do that to me, even though I'm really easily self-aware, so I can like go, oh, I didn't realise that was a thing that, other people can see your crap much more than you can.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
And there was some things, I know I definitely benefited from having the sessions and the book. Definitely, it's all in the book. It's very descriptive and very understandable. And I guess it depends on you as a person. I think I'm someone who's like, right, I need you to do it with me, almost hold my hand for a bit and then I'll be fine. And that's where those sessions were really, really valuable. And also, like, as you say, the list that we worked on just gave me, I don't know, what is it, about 20? There's about 20 things on there, or maybe less, but straight away you are right. Okay, I've got homework, so that you can start to work on. So definitely, just having someone else who has that different perspective, like you say, you can just go, well, I think this is what's going on, and validating that was really important.
Brilliant. So, well, thank you, Louise, for sharing all that and talking this through with me, because it's really been, especially the comparison with mindfulness meditation, and really, I found that really interesting to hear that as well. So now, if anybody's interested in your work and wants to track you down online, go to your networking event, where can they find you online? What's your web address?
Yeah, so my web address is www.stillcalm, all one word, .co.uk, and on there is all of the things that I offer. So I do classes, I do group work, I do individual work, I do workshops, and I do also work with employers around building resilience to change, and introducing mindfulness in the workplace. So please do have a look. I have a Facebook page as well, and Twitter and LinkedIn. So you can find me on all of those places.
All the usual places. We will have links to all of those in the show notes if you want to track Louise down.
Thank you.
So thank you once again for joining me on the Head Trash Show. It's been brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in. You've just been listening to me, Alexia Leachman, here on the Head Trash Show. If you enjoyed the show or the book, Clear Your Head Trash, I'd really appreciate you leaving a review on iTunes or Amazon. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes for more insights, interviews and inspiration for clearing your head trash and reclaiming your headspace. Until next time, bye for now.